This morning we're going to hear about what happened when the children of Israel came to Mount Sinai. They had run away from Egypt, they had crossed the Red Sea, and they crossed part of the wilderness, and they came to a special mountain called Mount Sinai. It was on the third day, when it was morning, there were voices and lightnings and a heavy cloud on the mountain, and the voice of a shofar, a trumpet, exceedingly firm, and all the people that were in the camp were frightened. And Moses made the people go out from the camp to meet God, and he stood forth in the lower part of the mountain, and Mount Sinai smoked, all of it. As Yahweh came down upon it in fire, and smoke thereof went up the smoke of a furnace, and all the mountain trembled exceedingly. And when the voice of the shofar was going and waxing strong mightily, Moses spoke, and God answered him in a voice. Come to Mount Sinai. What was happening on top of the mountain? Do you remember what was happening? What was happening up there? You can see it looks sort of like a tornado up there. What else is happening up here? Thunder and lightning. Remember anything else that was happening on top of the mountain? Clouds, like a rainstorm. The dark clouds. It's also smoke and fire. Something really exciting was happening. Something exciting was about to happen. Does anyone know what was about to happen? What was God about to talk about? And he came down with fire and lightning and clouds. You know what he was going to say? Yeah. He was about to tell them the 10 Commandments. It was going to be very exciting. The Lord was going to tell them the 10 Commandments. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the 10 Commandments. And I want you to listen and see if you can count up when you hear them. I'm going to read the longer version. I want you to listen carefully and see when you think you hear the first one start and then the second one. See if you want to count up in your hand when you hear them all. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh thy God, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of servitude. Thou shalt have no other gods before my face. Thou shalt not make thee a graven image, nor any figure of what is in the heavens above, or what is in the earth beneath, what is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow thyself down to them nor serve them, for I am Yahweh thy God, a zealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers and the sons, and the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me, and doing mercy to the thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for Yahweh will not hold an innocent who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou serve and do all thy occupation. The seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy God. Thou shalt not do any occupation, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy beast, nor thy sojourner who is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long on the ground which Yahweh thy God is giving thee. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not answer against thy neighbor false witness, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Okay? So that was all 10 commandments. I'm going to show you what that might have looked like when Moses was given them by God. He was given the 10 commandments, and they were written down on stone. And this is what they look like in Hebrew. Now, is this a little bit or a lot of rules? What do you think, Peyton? Think that's a lot? 10 is a lot? Who's got to guess how many rules or laws there are in Canada? On a 20 laws? 500 laws? Probably 1,000 or more laws for the grown-ups that they all have to follow in Canada and Ontario. Maybe even more than that. There's a lot of rules. But But the Lord decided just to give us 10 rules, 10 commandments. So, why is it important to follow the commandments? We can go to heaven. But I want to tell you something today. Maybe you know this already. This is a really important thing about the 10 commandments. Even though there's only 10 rules, they are rules that tell us exactly what we need to do no matter what. In any situation we find ourselves, the Lord has already told us in the 10 commandments what we're supposed to do. We have to understand it, think about it, to know how to follow them. So we're going to look at this commandment right here. This is one of the shortest commandments. This is the commandment not to kill. You see there's some very short commandments here. This is one of the shortest ones. And the Lord told us that, what does that mean, not to kill? Pretty easy. What does that mean? No murdering. But the Lord tells us that it means more than just that. Don't hurt somebody. Is it okay, if we're not supposed to kill people, is it okay to really hurt them badly? No. Is it okay to hurt them a little bit? No, those are all part of this commandment. It's not to kill people, but also not to hurt people. What about being mad, angry at people? Is that okay? No. And the Lord says that's also part of this commandment. It's not to be mad or not to be angry at other people. What about calling somebody mean names? Is that okay? Kate, is that okay? No. What about making fun of somebody? Is that okay, Jasher? No. And also the Lord tells us that's all part of this commandment. So you might think that's a very short commandment. But there's a lot of things that the Lord teaches us about this commandment. Because when it says don't kill, it's telling us not to kill, but it's also telling us what is it that the Lord wants us to do. He says don't kill, because what is it that He really wants us to do? What do you think He wants us to do? He wants us to be nice. He wants us to be good. So these rules, they tell us what not to do so we can be good and so we can be nice. Because do you think angels in heaven go around killing people? What do you think? Do you think? No. Do you think they say mean things to each other? Angel? No. Do you think they make fun of each other? No. These are rules the Lord is teaching us about how to be like the angels. And so if we want to be like the angels, we practice them. We practice them while we're on earth so we can be like the angels. Because if we're not going to follow these rules, we go to heaven. Where do we go if we don't follow these rules? We go to hell, because that's where the people go who don't like these rules. So the Lord has only given us 10 rules. These 10 rules are really amazing because they teach us no matter what. They teach us what we need to do to be like the angels. So if we want to be nice like the angels, we follow these rules. If we want to be nice like the Lord, we follow these rules. They teach us how to live in heaven. And the more we learn about them and the more we follow them, the more the Lord can show us how to do a good job following them. So we start, we say, the Lord says don't kill, do that. The Lord says don't be mean, don't hurt, we do that. The Lord says don't say unkind things, you don't do that. And the more we learn and the more we try to follow it, the more the Lord can show us, no matter what question we have, no matter what problem we have, He's already given us the answers in His 10 commandments. So these are amazing rules the Lord gave us, because there's only 10 of them, but they show us what to do no matter what. So there's only 10 rules, but they cover everything. They show us what to do no matter what. They show us how to be ready for heaven while we're still on earth. Amen. Please rise. The Lord give His angels a charge concerning thee, to protect you in all your ways. Amen. Hear further the word of the Lord, first from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. You have heard that it was declared by the ancients, thou shalt not murder, and whoever shall murder shall be subject to the judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother rashly shall be subject to the judgment. And whoever shall say to his brother Rakah shall be subject to the council. And whoever shall say, thou fool, shall be subject to the Gehenna of fire. You have heard that it is declared by the ancients, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at another woman and lusts after her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. It has been declared that whoever shall send away his wife, let him give her a divorce. But I say to you, whoever shall send away his wife outside of the reason of scortation makes her commit adultery. And whoever shall marry her who is sent away commits adultery. Reading further from the Apocalypse explained, thou shalt not covet or desire thy neighbor's wife, his manservant or his maidservant, or his ox, or his donkey. These are lusts after what is a man's own. Because the wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, and donkey are within his house. And the things within a man's house, in the spiritual internal sense, the things that are his own. That is, the wife means the affection of spiritual truth and good. Manservant and maidservant, the affection of rational truth and good. Servant is spiritual, and the ox and the donkey, the affections of natural good and truth. These signify in the word such affections. But because coveting and desiring these affections means to will and eagerly desire to subject a man to one's own authority or bidding, it follows that lusting after these affections means the lust of the love of self, that is, the love of ruling. For thus does one make the thing belonging to a companion to be his own. From this it can be now seen that the lust of the ninth commandment is the lust of the world, and the lust of this commandment are the lusts of the love of self. For as has been said before, all lusts are of love. For it is love that covets. And there are two evils to which all lusts have reference, namely the love of the world and the love of self. And it follows that the lust of the ninth commandment has reference to the love of the world, and the lust of this commandment to the love of self, especially the love of ruling. And finally, we read from the true Christian religion. The Ten Commandments, or the Decalogue, explained in its external and internal sense. There is not a nation in the whole world that does not know that it is wicked to commit murder, to commit adultery, to steal, to bear false witness, and that kingdoms, republics, and every form of organized society, unless these evils were guarded against by laws, would be at an end. Who then can suppose that the Israelite nation was so stupid beyond all others as to not know that these are evils? Anyone, therefore, may wonder that laws so universally known in the world should have been promulgated on Mount Sinai by Jehovah himself in so miraculous a way. But listen, they were promulgated in so miraculous a way to make known that these laws are not only civil and moral laws, but also divine laws, and that acting contrary to them is not only doing evil to one's neighbor, that is, to a fellow citizen and society, but is also sinning against God. Wherefore, these laws, by their promulgation by Jehovah from Mount Sinai, were made also laws of religion. Evidently, whatever Jehovah commands, he commands in order that it may be a matter of religion, and thus something done for the sake of salvation. Amen. Blessed are those who hear the word of God and keep it.
Oh
thing is going to be important. We know this just from public communication, that the first thing you say is often the most important. But even knowing this, some people look at the Ten Commandments and wonder, are they really that important? Because people know today, and they knew at the time, that these were the laws for any society. They were good practice for getting along with your neighbor. And we know from history that they had similar laws in Egypt and Babylon. So were these laws that important? Christians today wonder if the Ten Commandments are perhaps outdated, or that they were actually too difficult for anyone to follow, and the Lord needed to give us an easier covenant in order to keep them. And even people who accept these as good rules, or generally good rules, might wonder at their phrasing and why they're put together the way they are. Particularly wondering why so many of them are phrased in the negative rather than the positive. We're going to be looking at these commandments and answering some of these questions and seeing why it is that the Lord chose to give us these 10 ideas as the most important and central teaching of Revelation. The first thought to consider is from the Arcana, which teaches us how we can understand the Word, how we should approach the things of the Word if we really want to understand what it's talking about. It says there are two principles, one of which leads to all folly and insanity, the other to all intelligence and wisdom. The former principle is to deny all things, or to say in the heart that we cannot believe them until we are convinced by what we can apprehend or perceive by the senses. This is the principle that leads to all folly and insanity, and is to be called the negative principle. The other principle is to affirm the things that are of the doctrine from the Word, or to think and believe within ourselves that they are true because the Lord has said them. This is the principle that leads to all intelligence and wisdom. It's to be called the affirmative principle. So if we want to understand why these rules are written the way they are and why they're so important, the first thing is to remember is that God spoke them, so they must be important. And He spoke them the way He did, and so there must be something important about that. This is called the affirmative principle. To think the Lord gave it to us, so there must be something important for us to learn, even from the things that might not make sense at first glance. So the objection that these were not new laws and that they were similar to contemporary legal codes in the ancient world, this should not be surprising. Because if we think about this, if these were important laws to God, He certainly would have made sure that people, not just one small tribe or nation, knew them, but that everyone knew them. And we're told in the heavenly doctrine that many ancient religions had these commandments at their heart because the Lord had given a revelation before the Old Testament, the ancient word that was spread around the world. And further, we read from true Christian religion that these laws were given to them on Mount Sinai not because they didn't know them as moral guidelines, but because they needed to know that they were not just laws for a country or laws for a people, but they were heavenly laws. Now we might ask ourselves then, what makes these laws heavenly? Don't they just deal with how we treat other people while on earth? And if they're so heavenly, why are they phrased in the negative way? Do not, do not, do not. Again, the heavenly doctrine answers this for us by explaining that while the Lord's goal for us is that we love Him and that we follow Him from love, if we want to do that, we need to actually first remove the obstacles to His love. The first step is to remove evil, and then the Lord's love can flow in. So, unless we're already perfect or starting out perfect, we need the commandments to tell us what not to do, what evils to shun, in order to follow the Lord from love. And the sad thing is that no good can flow in and replace the evil that we're born to from brevity unless that evil is first removed. Now, even given that, we still wonder, these laws, some of them might seem a little strange. For example, the list of things we're told not to covet. How could these be universal divine laws when they seem to apply to an agricultural society Now, the reason that the last two commandments are two instead of one, they all are about coveting, so you might think they might just make one commandment. But they represent shunning two evils or two lusts that are the root of all other evils. So coveting someone's house represents lusting after things of the world, which is one of the causes of evil. And then coveting the rest represent lusting after the things of another person or love of self in dominating over other people. Now, another reason for looking at these in this order is that coveting a house stands for the things of our mind. A house represents our mind, and so coveting a house represents coveting another person's mind or soul. And then the second commandment about not coveting a wife or the servants or the livestock, which might seem more important than the house itself, they represent the constituting affections of the house. The wife, and again, there's a reason why it's stated as the wife and not the spouse or the husband, is that a wife represents affection. So it represents lusting after the affections, the spiritual affections of another person. And the servants as well represent the thoughts and affections of the rational mind, and the livestock, the thoughts and affections of the natural mind. So coveting after those things of another person means coveting after the things of their character, of their soul. Still, we're confused about why the commandments are written the way that they are, and seemingly for a people of a different era. We are also told that these commandments, and even the Old Testament itself, might not have exactly been phrased this way if the character and the culture of the people they were given to were different. Is that the literal sense is conforming to the culture, and yet the internal sense is universal. But we're not going to spend too much time worrying about this, because the Word is written the way it is. And the Lord in His providence gave the commandments in the way that He did. So what this tells us is that the Ten Commandments, although they were adapted to a certain mindset and spiritual quality of the people of the time, they are also adapted to us and to our qualities. Because although we might think we deserve to have a different version given us today, because we're of a different character, the fact is that our spiritual history, our spiritual heredity, does go back to ancient Israel. And for some of us, also the genetic history goes back to ancient Israel. So these commandments, even the way they're given in the literal sense, are relevant to us to understand where we're coming from and the evils that we are going to face from our heredity, the things that are going to attack us. It's important to understand them and know how to fight them. Now, of course, the most important truth is that regardless of the literal phrasing of these commandments, spiritually they contain all the truth necessary for our salvation, both as individuals, but also as human society. And this is the amazing feature or amazing quality of spiritual truth, is that these simple statements can contain everything of spiritual life. Now, you can also condense them down further. The Lord condenses these 10 commandments from the 2 tables into 2 simple statements. Again, we read in the true Christian religion, the literal sense of the 10th commandment contains general instructions on doctrine and life, but their spiritual and celestial sense contain universal instructions. It is well known the 10 commandments are called the word of the law, or excellence, because they contain everything concerning doctrine and life, not only everything which concerns God, also everything which concerns man. That is why the law was written on 2 tables, one dealing with God, the other with man. And it is also well known that the whole of the doctrine of life relate to love to God, love towards the neighbor. The whole of these loves is contained in the 10 commandments. This is the teaching of the whole word, as is evident from the words of the Lord. Jesus said, "You are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." The law and the prophets depend on these 2 commandments. And the law and the prophet mean the whole of the word. So you can condense the 10 commandments down to 2, and amazingly you can condense them down even further into simply the name Jesus Christ. which spiritually means love and wisdom together, or celestial and spiritual love, our love to the Lord and love to the neighbor. And the quality of spiritual truth is that it is infinite, whether we're talking small or large. So we can condense these 10 commandments down to 2 or even one name, but they can also be expanded infinitely. If we look at another one of those very short commandments in the literal sense, do not commit adultery. Now, in the New Testament, Jesus takes that very short phrase and he expands it, and he tells us that this, in a few verses, he tells us that this law means not only our actions, but also what's going on in our heart. And he also teaches us that committing adultery includes breaking divine rules for marriage, even if you're not breaking the society's rules for marriage. Now, these few verses are expanded in the true Christian religion. We've read several snippets from that treatment, but they tell us that beyond the simple literal meaning, these commandments teach us, particularly this one about adultery, teaches us not to say or do or even mentally dwell on anything that is crude or lustful or opposed to marriage. In addition, the heavenly doctrine tells us that the spiritual level of this commandment forbids pairing together any two things that don't go together, whether we're talking about people who are not married or joking about holy things of the Word. And most especially and universally, it means not pairing truth with falsity or good with evil. And on the other hand, the law against committing adultery means we're not supposed to separate two things that do go together, like husband and wife, faith and life, good and truth, and the Lord's divine human presence on earth and his divine power and providence. So this is all contained in a short little phrase. And the explanation of this one commandment continues. It's expanded to over 30 pages in the book Apocalypse Explained, and 500 pages in the single book Conjugal Love, not to mention other places like the Arcana and Heaven and Hell, which also teach us about marriage. And all of this can be brought out from that one simple statement that the Lord gives us in the 10 Commandments. So these books, they give us not only greater understanding of the core principle at the heart of this law, but they expand our minds into practical details, the qualities and causes of adultery, but also models and advice for how to experience the usefulness and delight of marriage. So this wonderful concept calls to mind what is written at the very end of the Gospel of John, where it says, there are many other things which Jesus did, which in every one of them should be written. I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. So, the quality of spiritual truth, and especially the 10 Commandments, so all of the Word, they have this amazing quality. Why? Because they are the words that God spoke. God is the Word. The Word is God. So, in every part of the Word, the Lord himself is present. And he's not only present in the whole, but he's also wholly present in every part. So this is why we can take a simple commandment, or a seemingly simple rule, and explore it infinitely. Now the reason to do this, the reason why we have so many books of doctrine, is not just out of intellectual or academic curiosity, but the more that we learn these commandments, the more happy and the more useful we can become. First, in our ability to resist evils, but then also to help other people escape the power of hell. So we take these 10 simple rules that contain the Lord's love for us. They contain his desire to bring us into heaven and to bless us. And then they are also wonderfully written so that they can be viewed simply or complexly. So if we simply take them at face value and sincerely try to follow them, even just literally, we're going to be gradually led to more and deeper wisdom and happiness. So we just simply start to study the commandments and do our best to live by as much as we understand. Then we are applying that affirmative principle, trying to follow what the Lord has said. And we read, as it says, in heaven and hell, when man has made a beginning, God quickens all that is like and sealed in the commandments, of which he is unacquainted. When he reads the word in that state, he finds everywhere in the prophets, and especially in the evangelists, that each one of these precepts contains within it things still more heavenly. Amen. Rise. Glory be to the Lord Jesus Christ, the one God of heaven and earth. Of his kingdom there shall be no end. Teach us your way, O Lord, and lead us in a smooth path because of our enemies. We would have lost heart unless we believed that we would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all.